Right guys, before this video starts, apologies for the slight increase in AMSR content you might get on this video. I've been incredibly ill over the past week. I'm feeling proper miserable, so apologies for the additional noises and grunts and stuff that you'll probably get in this video, but let's crack onto it and let's get started. Well guys, welcome back to Tom Mods Things. Today we are working back on the Saxo project. Things that we're going to try and tick off the list today is we're going to get it up in the air, we're going to do some rust repair on the front and also the rear end that needs doing so that we can get it ready for getting it through another MOT. We're going to crack on and we're going to see if we can get the door handle on the passenger side fixed because that's not been working correctly. Sort of we think maybe something's become disconnected, so that just kind of needs to get sorted. And then there's various other bits and bobs that we're going to get done along the way as well, with tidying various things up, starting to get pieces off and replaced, and then ultimately doing everything that we need to do to get it to pass another MOT so we can actually get this bad boy back on the road, which is going to be sick. So without further ado, let's crack on with it. Right guys, so been making some progress, looking up in the arch here, just been cleaning up a fair few bits, started to treat some of the rust areas as well, sorted out the mounting point, bumper mount, and then we've just put some protective primer over the top of it. But as you can see in here, this little guy, no sort of track rod steering ends and stuff at the moment, all been disconnected, so we've chucked a load of PB blaster over it. We left it for about 4 hours and then we came back to it, and both sides amazingly have come off without too much drama. So there we go. As you can see, one of them had been cut by the previous owner when they were taking the suspension off. This one seemed all right, apart from when we kind of took a look around here, you can see there was a big split in the rubber. So these are so inexpensive and we've managed to get them off, so it's just worthwhile replacing, to be honest. We want to try and get kind of all this as good as we can, and as you can see, we're definitely making some improvements straight away. This is looking great. So yeah, so that's really good. We've been chucking a load of rust converter on various places, trying to sort out some of the crap that was going on up here, where effectively we ended up with this big split in between where they'd kind of cut the previous bonnet, and then for it's split and there's rust coming through. So what we're going to have to do with this is kind of drill at the end of these cracks, and then we're going to get a Dremel and we're going to kind of cut out a section across here, I think, to be able to kind of give us a gap to then kind of go in and sort out and do sort of just chuck a load of rust converter all over it, and then just add some protective coating over it, and then we'll then fill back over the top and smooth it all in, and then that should be good. And then we'll probably do the same with the rear deck lid as well, which has a very similar thing to that. We've also found a bit more sort of rusty areas around this top section, so you can see here there's a bit of bubbling on this side. It's the same on the other side as well, in pretty much the same place. But as we said on the last episode, this windscreen's got to come out anyway, so once that comes out, I can't see any areas at the moment under this which are a cause for concern. So what we'll do is we'll just sand all that back, prime it, protect it, then we can get the windscreen back in again, and then that should be all good and sorted. So yeah, so this is going really well actually, and it's not actually as bad as I was expecting, to be perfectly honest. I'm actually quite surprised. It's fairly superficial. I was quite worried that this side was going to be worse than I'd seen, because up until now we've not really been able to have it in the air at all. The rear is definitely the worst of it, so we'll crack on with getting this front all buttoned up, and then as soon as that's done and it's all looking a little bit tidy, then we're going to crack on with the rear, get all the rust repair and stuff done on that and get that all tidied up and sealed, and then we should be right on our way to getting this nugget back on the road, which is going to be pretty epic. What I am seeing though, I think we're definitely going to have to sort these front limo tints out, because that is definitely asking for me to get pulled over in this. Yeah, that is ridiculous. We'll keep the rears on, I think, but yeah, the fronts definitely have to go to a lighter shade to get that sorted. Right, let's crack it on a bit. We've got front arches looking pretty damn sick, to be honest. So looking at what we've got, look at that. Looking so much better. So we've cleaned up, treated, ground back some of the surface rust that was in there, given it a quick coat of matte black paint, and then we'll probably go and underseal the whole car once we've finished with the rest of it. So we've done the other side. We've also managed to get the steering linkages off, which is awesome. So they were less of a pig than the 106, which ended up needing the whole steering thing taken out. So anyway, we have moved on to the back. And this is just one of those things where you just, when you pick up an old car and stuff like this that's been off the road, you have no idea what the person before you's done, and the 106 was exactly the same. So looking in the rear at effectively all the suspension and everything is disconnected. So there's a bolt that's pretty much hanging on by like one thread at the moment to keep one of the rear shocks in place. So anyway, that was about to fall out. So kind of lucky that we've got it in here at the moment, because we're going to get the back up and then we can start to reassemble. And then the other side, equally the same. But that one actually had a nut on the end of the bolt, which was a bonus. But again, that was only a couple of threads anyway, so it was pretty much useless. So yeah, so we're going to crack on. We're going to get the rear of the car up, and I think we're going to start to put the suspension together, start to do a little bit of grinding back on some of the surface rust that we can see there. We'll treat it with some rust converter, and then we should be able to sandbag, prime, and then underseal the car, which would be awesome. Right, up in the air, rear wheels off. Let's have a gander at what we have got to play with under here. So as you can see, we're all doing a little bit of work on the back already. Got a collection of dried leaves doing their job down there to make things nice and rusty. These are looking like we should probably just change them anyway, to be honest. But yeah, generally speaking, like the rest of it, it's dirty. There's a bit of surface rust, but I think it's actually all right, to be honest. It doesn't look too bad. Let's fly around to the other side quickly as well. I haven't actually looked at this side at all yet either, so it could be worse. Oh, okay. So, a little bit more crusty. Also, that doesn't look great. What is that for? Is that the filler? Oh, it is. Oh, that's so annoying. Okay, so we've got a leak, which will explain why the tank had moisture in it and was causing some issues with the fuel pump. So that's brilliant. So we're gonna have to take that out and replace it. That's really annoying. Oh, gutted. I wish I'd not seen that. Anyway, hopefully not too much of a job. I'll look into it, see if there's anything in the Haynes manual about replacing that section. Looks like it's probably going to be the whole filler neck, but that's plastic at the top, so I don't know. We're going to have to look into this and work out what's going on there. But yeah, that's really annoying. But hey ho, not the end of the world. I'm sure we can make do. Rest of it, however, looking not too bad, to be honest. I mean, it's definitely not the worst Saxo or 106 in the world, to be honest. There's definitely been some, from the looks of it, coating and stuff before in the sort of typical areas. So yeah, it looks like there's been a plate welded in here in the past. And then it's been coated over the top, so we should hopefully be okay in that respect. Still got loads of leaves and stuff to get rid of. The suspension bolt, I mean, you can see it there. So that is actually supposed to be pressed up against that to keep the shock in place. It's definitely not doing its job. So yeah, so a few things to get sorted. Yeah, so we'll look into that fuel filler thing, because yeah, that's not great, but hey, not done that before as a replacement, so hey, we're learning new things here. Yeah, so gonna just fly around and start to work out what we're gonna need to replace, what we can keep, what we can salvage, and then we will go from there. Right, next day on, as you can tell by the slightly different t-shirt that's going on. So we've been working away doing sort of some of the repair work for the sort of underside and the rust bits and bobs that we've been coming across on this car. Realistically, it's not all that bad, to be honest, and so what we've been doing is we've been taking flappy discs and wire brushes and that sort of stuff, and basically grinding away and taking off all of that surface rust to the point where it goes back to sort of bare metal. Then we're coating it with a load of nitrile ores. So that was the only stuff that they had in the store at the moment, so that's rust converter, so we're chucking that on the top, just basically if there's any remnants, then we can convert it and bring it back down to a sort of a stable material. And then as soon as that's done, leave that to dry, and then we're coating it with a protective primer. And then after that, we are coating it with a spray-on underseal, just to kind of give it sort of a uniform finish, protective wax coating, so that hopefully the car stays reasonably rust-free for a little while longer. So yeah, so that's what we've been doing. Obviously you saw a minute ago some of the bits that we were up to. We've just put a coat on the back because we'd grinded away all of the surface rust and treated it, and then now we've just put our first coat of primer, and then we'll put the underseal afterwards, and we'll show you guys what that looks like. We've ordered a load of new bolts for the rear suspension that I showed a minute ago, where it wasn't actually connected. So I mean, crazy lucky that nothing fell off, to be honest, while we were moving it around. But yeah, new bolts turning up for that, so that will be all buttoned up back together next week, which is cool. So what we're going to do is, I know there's a few little bits like headlight bulbs and stuff that need replacing because they've blown, so I think what we're going to do is whip off one of the headlights, and we're going to go and replace that now, so it's just done and dusted, don't have to worry about it, because we can do that in the interim while everything's kind of drying up the back. And then we're probably going to move on to starting to do maybe a little bit of the bodywork. So we've obviously put all the side panels and stuff back on the car. If you remember, these were actually all hanging off at the time, so we've just sealed them on for the moment. So we've got some edges that we need to clear up, this one here, a bit down here, some on the other side. Bear in mind that we don't worry too much about some of this at the moment, because reality is that the colour and stuff of this car is either going to be repainted or it's just going to change completely. So we're not too worried about sort of any of the scratches and stuff on the exterior, because frankly it's not great. I just have to look at the rear wing to know that yeah, it's going to need a fair bit of work. So yeah, this is some of the stuff that we're going to have to do, where the fiberglass and the bits where they've kind of joined two kits together have started to split. Same on the upside here, so all the joys that we absolutely love doing. And then there's all of this just loveliness, so I can't wait to have to sand all that top coat back to get it all like a nice smooth surface. That's going to be joyous. I think there is a block drain in the sunroof. When we had a bit of rain, noticed that the headliner was a little bit damp, so indication would be that one of these drains is blocked and it's kind of overflowing. Or even if the seal might be not sealing anymore. So we'll check both. So we'll check that the seal is actually sealing and doing its job, and then if it is, then we'll check the drains, and we'll just take the whole sunroof out to check on that. Right, I think what we're going to crack on and do now is to remove all of these old neon tubes. Unfortunately, they're not working, otherwise we would have definitely left them on. The rear one had fully detached itself and was pulled off. The other ones, all the connectors and stuff, just dropping down here. All the wires have just deteriorated, much like the wires had done, as you can see here, for the LED like washer jets and stuff. So anyway, so we're going to strip off all of this neon tube stuff and pull out all the cabling just to tidy it up. We'll put underglow back onto this car, definitely, but we'll have to go probably with an LED kit, just cheap and cheerful, like we did with the 106. It looked pretty good, to be honest, so we'll do the same with this and bring it up to standard. Right guys, so we stripped off the first random tube that was down here. We've got a little bit of cabling to try and worm our way out, because they've sort of stacked it underneath all of this stuff and clearly clipped it to a load of bits. But what I thought we would probably do is just see if we can just rig up a 12-volt supply to this and see if it turns on. I've got no idea whether this will work or whether it will blow up, but we're going to take you along for the ride. Give you 2 secs. Right, so we go, negative on, and then we should be able to just touch this with the... Oh! Hey, there we go. Sick. Okay, so this one actually still works, so we might actually be able to make use of this. Let me think. Okay, so what we could do, actually, if we can find another tube. So it's the rear one that's not working, or not there anymore, was cracked in half. We've got one on the left and we've got one on the right. Now if we can somehow get them off the car, and they're intact and working like this, then I reckon what we can do is, because the old system, I think I've got kind of the little control piece for it somewhere. I think I throw it down here. Yeah, so that is what's left of kind of what was the old control board type thing. yeah, not going to be working anymore. So what I think we might be able to do is, where we've kind of managed to have enough wire at the end of this, is we could actually probably splice it with some additional cables, and then do some sort of quick connects, and then rig it up to a switch in the car, and then bish bash bosh, we could actually have genuine neons back on this, which would actually be pretty sick, to be fair. So stay tuned, we might actually keep this. Right, and then just because we had to, decided just to turn them on in the dark as well. Yeah, I reckon if we can get the side ones to work, what I might do actually is just snip the wires quickly, leave a bit of trailing lead on it, and then see if we can rig up a 12-volt supply to it and just see what it looks like from underneath. Yeah, so that was short-lived. This one's totally dead, as we can see over here. This one is not going to be neoning anymore. So what to do, because these ones are too short really for this one to go down this edge. It's not really going to give the same effect each side, so I think we'll keep them for sure, and we'll find another use for them. So I think probably what we'll do is have them on the interior, because everyone loves a neon bar, and I reckon if we can clean up sort of all these edges and stuff and make them sort of all nice and clean again, we can find a space for this in the back, you know, like above a load of subwoofers or something. I don't know, we'll make it work. We may as well try and use what we can from the old build, but it does mean that we are going to put a new set of underglow and stuff on this, because yeah, we can't go around with lopsided underglow, because people will laugh at you, because people don't laugh at people with underglow obviously anymore anyway. So yeah, so we're going to crack on. We're just going to remove that side that we just had on, and then we're going to stack them up on the edge. Right, so there's all the underglow off. So on to the next issue that we've had with this car. So those of you that saw sort of one of the first episodes, we had a real issue with the passenger side of this car. So effectively, when this was sort of parked up and abandoned for sort of a period of time, the passenger side of the car was effectively parked in a bush. So as you can imagine, with a natural growth of stuff, it starts to seep into the car. So what we had was, obviously the passenger side of the car is the worst for the rust, because obviously there's a lot of moisture in nature. So obviously that was trickling into the car itself, and then because of that, what we found is that the passenger door actually didn't open as well, so you couldn't actually open it. It was effectively seized shut. So with a bit of brute force and a load of penetrating fluid and various other bits, hitting it with a rubber mallet and all sorts, we did manage to get it open, as you can see. However, the issue that we've got now, apart from the fact that it's still covered in a little bit of mould in the window, is that this currently doesn't do anything. So this is now not connected to the latching mechanism on the inside. So I've replaced something similar to this on my Cayman outside, so I'm hoping it's a similar mechanism to that. But French engineering to German engineering, I'm not entirely sure that they share a lot of the same qualities, based on my knowledge of the 106 build, but we do know that the internal handle does work, hence how this is open at the moment. So that is still connected, but the little piece that goes in between those two is not connected, or broken, snapped. We need to kind of work this out. So I think first up, what we're going to try and do is we're going to get the door card off. I think that's probably a good starting point, because then it will give us a little bit more access to everything that's on the inside, and then we can start to see, I'm imagining there's like a little pull sort of pin or something that's attached to this that just kind of moves, and I think it's probably either snapped off of something on this handle, or it's disconnected on the opposing end. But anyway, we'll get to the bottom of it. So we're just going to crack on, get the door card off, and get it underway. Right, so that was easy. It's effectively one bolt. We've left it positioned up the side here because there is a ton of like random cables and terminal blocks and all sorts of crap on the back of this. So I think what we're probably going to do as well is just go through and tidy up some of the wiring. I hated that the crossovers effectively are just sort of bunged in the pockets down there. We're going to have to do something with the door cards and the whole interior anyway, but yeah, we can't have just crossovers floating around in door cards, because that is not the thing. So we'll get our trusty light and we'll just have a poke around on the inside, see if we can see anything. Okay, well, this is brilliant camera work, Tom. Top job here. Right, let me reposition and I'm going to find a good angle. Okay, so looking up in there, so can see this thing moving and I can't see anything connecting to it. I think it's that thing just there, that lever. So I reckon we can move that, click it back into place, and job's a good one. So just going to take a look properly, because I'm literally like this at the moment, just sort of like looking through the camera with you guys. It's like Inception at the moment. I'm looking at a video in a video. So yeah, gonna crack on and we're gonna see if we can get that sorted. Right, now that was an absolute pig, and I had to get the other side off just to check what was going on, because it kind of had like a clasp, and then there was like a bar that you saw, and it kind of made sense that your bar would go into the clasp and then something else would then close it off. So anyway, so that's what I was trying to do, and it was leaving the door handle sort of slightly out, and there was no way of pushing it in fully, so it's like, okay, well that can't be the case. So then I had to go over to the other side, because I couldn't find anything on the internet picture wise to show me what to do. Luckily we took the other side off, because it's only like one bolt, really easy. We took a look, and the clasp doesn't clasp. I mean, it's stupid, but effectively this thing kind of sits here like this, and then the bar is supposed to go along here, and then there's like these bits here that are then supposed to like tension it against the clasp. I mean, it makes no sense. But anyway, moment of truth is we're going to see if this door now opens. Alright, so here we go, fully closed door with the handle. Please. Hey, look at that. Epic. Right, cool. So we now have a door. Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to leave this in the edit, because I always like to show you guys the good, the bad, and the downright annoying, which that is. So anyway, we're going to have to go and open it from the inside again, get the door card off, and we're going to have to see if we can get that to tension properly. Right, wish me luck. Right, we got there, a little tab had snapped, so we've had to manipulate, let's say, some of the metal fastenings, but crucially, the main thing is closed, oh, and opened. Who knew that something like that would be so annoying? But such is life. Always the small teeny jobs that you think are going to take you no time at all will end up taking you forever. So anyway, we can get inside of the car. Happy days. Right, and I think that's probably going to be it for this episode. So what have we done? We've got the car in the garage. We've obviously got it in the air. Done rust repair and sorted out the whole front end. Removed all the steering linkages that had all been cut. So we got new ones on order. As soon as they turn up, the whole front end all goes back together. Bosh, happy days. We've also then got the rear up, started doing all the rust repair on that. We've treated, now we've undersealed, and that is ready to go. We removed, sort of on the bench, all the suspension, which we need to get new bolts for, because they've been cut and then just sort of left loosely hanging. So we've got new bolts turning up for that. So as soon as that happens, suspension goes back on. That one's done. We found a small hole in the fuel filler sort of end, so we need to work out whether that's going to be full replacement of that whole part, or whether we can fill it, or just we need to work out what's going on with that, because yeah, whether it's just sort of a protective shield that's rusted through, then it's not the end of the world, because clearly there's been some rubbing at some point in its life on it, which is why there's a hole there. So anyway, underglow. Got two tubes that work, unfortunately, not the rest of the kit, because they'd all smashed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to find a use for them. So we'll probably put them in the boot build, to be honest, because we won't have them underneath the car. We'll get some LEDs and we'll chuck those on underneath, because yeah, the car needs to have some underglow, doesn't it? Then engine-wise, engine all running and everything. We've been tidying up all the wires, getting sort of all the cable stripped out that we don't need for any of the miscellaneous bits and bobs that used to be on this. So that's all been stripped off. Wheels. So I put up a little poll on my Instagram to see whether we keep the Dev E2s for this. Obviously they were the wheels that were on this in the original build back in the day, but as this is like a re-evolved sort of build, we're kind of tweaking bits here and there, hence the chrome mirrors and stuff, which were never on it back then, and we've added those in because we just like a little bit of chrome flair. So yeah, same with the wheels. I think the majority of people voted to keep them, but there was quite a fair review that wanted to change it up. So I don't know. I think what we'll do is, because they're here and they're ready to go, we'll send those off to get refurbed. We'll do them probably in some sort of powder chrome or something, just to match up with the mirrors. So that would be great. Then we're de-wipering the rear of this, so that's to come. Then we've got brackets turning up for the seats so they can go back in. All the brakes are done now, so that's all been sorted as well. So as soon as those steering arms turn up, then it runs, drives, steers, brakes, all the good stuff. And then obviously with it all being treated underneath, that's well on its way to getting MOT'd. I think what we'll do is we'll send it for an MOT even with all the body kit and stuff like not fully finished, because we may as well have it back on the road. Then I can float around in it and basically iron out any of the small niggly problems that come up from cars that have been sitting for a while. And then also we sorted out the exhaust brackets. So hopefully, fingers crossed, when we start this back up, there's no rattly exhaust pipe, because the brackets and the hangers had all perished enough that they'd all fallen off. So we've replaced that. Happy days. So hopefully we've got no rattliness going on the rear end anymore. So yeah, cheers for watching, everyone. Stay tuned. It's all coming thick and fast, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you later.